Hi, this is Jeff from Operation St. Cyprian. I wanted to go over something that Dr. White from Alpha and Omega Ministries goes over about the Apocrypha, or the Deuterocanonical books in the Old Testament, and I wanted to provide a little more background information. Okay, so let's start with what he had to say.
So there's a serious problem there. And if we had more time to go into it, and I wanted to get to Jay Dyer today, but it doesn't look like I'm going to, sorry. There's serious question as to whether the canon as it was presented at Trent differs from the canon as it was represented by some of the earlier councils, the more primitive councils such as Carthage, Hippo, so on and so forth. That goes back to how you identify certain of the apocryphal books and other books and how they are related to one another. It gets very complicated, but a good case can be made. They didn't even quite understand what had been considered canonical back then in the final dogmatic canonization of those books at the Council of Trent.
Okay, so let's take a look. I'm going to pull up a couple articles from William Webster who goes over this in a little more detail. I'm not going to go into his articles in the same level of detail, just kind of a quick summary. Links will be provided in the description. So what Dr. White is talking about is the idea that the theory that some of the books that Hippo and Carthage, from the Councils of Hippo and Carthage, what Catholic apologists will try to tell you is that the Old Testament canon was laid down in Hippo and Carthage, and that was binding for the entire church. The New Catholic Encyclopedia disagrees with this. It says the first time that the Old Testament, or the canon as a whole, but especially the Old Testament, was set down was in the Council of Trent in April of 1546. So one thing that William Webster mentions is that they were provincial councils and not ecumenical councils. But even if there were ecumenical councils, this would create a massive problem for Roman Catholic apologists. Let's read here. Firstly, Hippo and Carthage state that first Esdras and second Esdras, or I'm not pronouncing this correctly probably, are canonical. Alright, so those books are called canonical as well as Trent. But the question is, are they pointing to the same books? They are referring here to the Septuagint version of 1st and 2nd Esdras. In this version, 1st Esdras is the apocryphal additions to Ezra, while 2nd Esdras is the Jewish version of Ezra and Nehemiah from the Jewish canon. The Council of Trent, however, states that 1st Esdras is actually Ezra, so the case is made that they're pointing to the different books. From the Jewish canon, and 2nd Esdras is Nehemiah from the Jewish canon. So Trent is pointing to books in the Vulgate. The Hippo and Carthage they're referring to different books with the same name in the Septuagint version or the Old Vulgate version. Alright, second article William Webster goes over this in more detail, defending it. Here's a little graph pointing to how they're going to the name First Esdras points to different books, and then he cites a bunch of different academic works that go over this. Again, I'll put the link in there. So essentially, is if this theory is correct, and it looks like it has a bunch of good backing, as Dr. White was saying, is that when they try to say the canon was set at Hippo and Carthage, that would mean the canon is different than what it was at Trent. which would be a huge problem. So just saying Hippo and Carthage, it doesn't really give you much then. And then the problem for the Roman Catholic apologists is if the canon wasn't set until Trent, then you have 1,500 years without a set canon, which kind of destroys most Roman Catholic canon arguments, because pretty much everybody worked with Scripture while knowing with Scripture without a definitive canon list. So Roman Catholic apologists won't like it for that reason. So anyway, that's what it is. Look forward to hearing from you in the comments. God bless.